Hello, everyone. We're continuing our show, Secrets of the Eternal Book, Yoshua bin Nun, Prophets. We have the 23rd and 24th chapters left, and we're talking about how is the land of Israel conquered by the people of Israel. First of all, they go in there, it's the land of Canaan, and gradually the land of Canaan becomes the land of Israel. 23rd chapter, it starts as follows, and it was after many days, after the Lord had given rest to Israel from all their enemies round about, and Joshua was old and come along in years. So, I'd like to ask again, what does it mean that the Creator, that He allowed them to rest?
First of
all, what does it mean that the people of Israel entered the land of Israel? Meaning that those people that have a true desire for the revelation of the spiritual world, they apply all efforts in order to change their desire from a mere desire to receive, like any other living being in our world, into a desire to bestow. And in that new desire, to the measure to which it forms in them, they begin to feel the upper world. So, a small question about it. That's the only desire that remains in them, or they go in with many desires into the land of Israel? Dr. Leitman. No, of course they begin with many desires and gradually conquering them, changing them into a desire to bestow, of connection and love. And that's called the conquering of the land of Israel. A very gradual and non-simple conquering. As we see that even Joshua grew old, and the nation, throughout an extended period of time, worked on itself in order to change their intention from reception to bestowal. To the measure of their change and to the measure of their nearing and closeness, correspondingly, the nation of Israel was formed as one general mass with one desire and one intention, and that is called the conquering of the land of Israel. Meaning all of their desires, desire, ratzon in Hebrew from the word eretz, land, all of their desires are gradually being transformed under the influence of the upper light, what is called help from above, and they're transformed from the desire to receive to the desire to bestow. And this concludes their conquering of the land. Simeon, what does it mean where it says at first that after many days, after the Lord had given rest to Israel? Dr. Leitman, meaning to give them strength for them to be able to instill the intention of bestowal over all their egoistic desires, Simeon, and he gave them rest from all of their enemies round about. Dr. Leitman, yes, our enemies are our egoistic desires. That's what our enemies are. Simeon, and that Joshua grew old. What does it mean that a person grows old? Dr. Leitman, grew old meaning that all of his practical previous egoistic intentions were inverted into altruistic ones, and the Joshua that was before, in battle with himself, with others, he already became a wise old man. And actually, he carried out his mission, and he continues ruling until instead of him appear the kings of Israel. Simeon, so there's something positive that a person grows wise, and Simeon, of course, to grow old, yeah. Simeon, to be wise, meaning to correct Dr. Leitman, it's the wisdom, it's the power, but along with that, the degree that he had to perform has already exhausted itself, and he needs to make room for the next in line, so to speak. Simeon, and he called Israel, told them they grew old. He said, you see, the Creator fought for you. He gave the land into your hands, and you conquer this land, but only conquer it. Conquer it in one case, and it says, and you shall be very resolute to keep and do all that is written in the book of the Torah of Moses, so that you do not turn from it right or left. When it says written in the book of Torah, what does it mean? Because we say that the Torah is a system. Here we're talking about a book. Dr. Lightman, that is what it is. When a person changes his desire, well, actually, the desires, they remain the same. The intention over them changes from the intention to receive to the intention to bestow. All that is registered, recorded in him, meaning these desires, they become corrected in him. And this means to write the book of Torah, meaning that every person, so it says, has to write the book of Torah for himself. Simeon, so that's exactly the next question. What does it mean, written? Dr. Lightman, meaning that he practically, with all the ta'amim, nekudot, tagin, and otiyot, has to go through all the elements of correction, of the desire, tanta, and for all of these elements to be corrected, to bestow, in order to bestow. Simeon, that means to write. Dr. Lightman, yes, to achieve such a state that already exists in him. Simeon, and when it says to write on your heart, what does it mean? Dr. Lightman, on your heart, it is something more initial. Afterwards, it has to spread throughout the entire person. Simeon, in all of his desires. And one more question. What does it mean not to turn from it right or left? Dr. Lightman, meaning by no means to commentate it in any way by your own additions, conclusions, etc., but only the way it was passed on through Moses to the nation, meaning in a very clear style of bestowal. Simeon, and then it says, so that you do not come among these nations that remain with you, nor shall you make mention of the name of their deities, nor exact oaths by their name, and you shall not serve them, nor bow to them, but cling to the Lord your God as you have done to this day. Dr. Lightman, meaning that it is necessary to take all of those desires and intentions that were initially made in a person, because to begin with, he was created the opposite of the Creator. You need to analyze them and correct them. What does it mean that the nations remain among the Israelites? Dr. Lightman, correct desires that are still not corrected. Simeon, and the last generation that's coming now, still it will be the last generation within which other nations will remain. Dr. Leitman, the thing is that we're correcting everything gradually, and that what they have corrected in previous generations, we correct today. Even that which was in the times of the writing of the Book of Zohar, or in other times of the great sages, everything that was not corrected up until now, we need to acquire the quality of bestowal and love, and to correct it all in its final form. And this is very complicated work, and it is upon us to do. Simeon, and until when will all this continue? Dr. Leitman, until we come to the whole, complete, and final correction, which is very complicated. It's called the Wars of the Messiah. Simeon, well, these are pretty difficult times, as it says, Dr. Leitman. It is the correction of the final desires. It's very serious. Simeon, it seems like at first it should be difficult. Afterwards, it should be easier. Dr. Leitman, no. It doesn't work that way. But we acquire the qualities and knowledge and the Torah, meaning a system that was already adjusted before us, and today we're already starting to work with the new generation, so to speak, Simeon. And it says, but cling to the Lord your God as you have done to this day, and not to other gods. Dr. Lightman, it means that you have no right to not complete a correction. You must complete the correction, meaning all of those desires that couldn't be corrected in previous generations for some reasons. In the last generation, they all appear, and we need to correct them. Where's Joshua? Where's Moses? Where are all these great leaders? Rabash, Balasulam, Ari, and thousands more. And who do you have today? Simeon. So who then? Dr. Lightman? No one? But precisely in this way that the Messiah comes in a generation where either everyone's great or everyone's lowly. Probably we suit the second one better. Simeon, yeah, like it says that the face of the generation is like the face of a dog. Simeon, so how are we going to get out of this? Dr. Lightman, I think that we'll go through it one way or another. I have no doubts. Even though that there is like no basis for it, Simeon, and that's called faith above reason. Dr. Lightman, yeah. If we came to that and we're pushed to it, it means that we can. Simeon, it's easier for you. You grabbed hold and that's it. Dr. Lightman, what did I grab hold of? Were you to know? First of all, I can't show anyone anything. As to how I myself am no one and nothing. I can't show that to anyone. To the contrary, I have to show my confidence and certainty, etc., etc. But, if Moses behaved that way in his state and the level that he was on, and Joshua and all the prophets and all the great Kabbalists, but precisely that is the last generation. We need to do what we need to do. And there is no point in talking about me at all. What a person's led to do, he has to do. And it doesn't matter if you're not doing it the best way, possible way, but you tried. I tried to do it, and this is what came out, but I did what I could. Simeon, this is how Rabash taught you to advance. Dr. Lightman, yeah, do the best you can, but whatever comes out, this is what comes out. It's all in the hands of the Creator. And further it says, the question is, what does it mean to bring them to an oath? It says, nor exact oaths by their name, and you shall not serve them, nor bow to them other gods, meaning, Dr. Lightman, it's forbidden to, you can't be certain of anything to begin with, but one thing, that only the help of the Creator and His actions from above will correct everything and will put everything into place. Simeon, so that's what it means. Dr. Lightman, yes, that this is the only thing that I trust in, pin my hopes on, etc. But I have to make it so that in order to bring all corporeal matters to this state, meaning to lay it before the Creator, lay it out, and exert all of my efforts, and for Him to complete. It's called the Creator will complete the work for me. Simeon, so this the word oath comes from ancient times, and you're saying that you can't just take an oath. Dr. Lightman, only toward the Creator, only that you do everything that is up to you to do, and when you do it, you have to be certain that you're doing it. And the Creator will complete the work for you. The actions up to us, but its outcome depends on the Creator. Simeon. And it says, cling to your God. What does it mean to cling, Dr. Lightman? Dvekut? Simeon, but what does it mean, Dr. Lightman? Meaning that everything that is in your sensations, understanding, all that you need to cling to the Creator with all of that. Simeon, in Hebrew, in Russian, it means to completely adhere to him, Dr. Leitman, in everything that I can, like a baby clings to his mother. And in her, he sees the source of life, and safety and everything, Simeon. And that's how I am toward the Creator too, Dr. Leitman. Yes, when you have this kind of connection with the Creator, that with all your thoughts and efforts and everything, you cling to Him, adhere to Him, you don't need anything else. You don't need any other desires, awakenings, nothing. You give everything to Him, and the Creator, as it says, will complete the work for me. Simeon, there's a desire to live that way, Dr. Leitman. Everyone has to come to that, and it is offered to everyone. And therefore, it's not that some have a privilege and others don't. If you want to, please, no problem. Simeon, then Joshua says, look, God fought for us like He promised, and it said, protect your souls in order to love your God. Meaning, it says, love your God. What is this commandment, Dr. Leitman? That's the main thing. Love the Creator, your God, with all your heart and all your soul. Simeon, well, people feel it. I don't know. What does it mean to love the Creator? Dr. Leitman, to love, it means that you do not want anything else but to feel, understand, act the way the Creator wants it. All your thoughts, all your desires, all your intentions, everything, including everything inside yourself, to make it so that you completely adhere yourself to the Creator, and this way you wish to grow, meaning to the measure to which a new desire appears in you, the same way you work with it and adhering to Him. Simeon, and that means to love the Creator. Dr. Leitman, yeah, like with a child, and further on come even greater desires that you have to adhere, you have to work with in order to adhere even more to the Creator, and this way you more and more reach equivalence of form with the Creator. You resemble Him, and therefore you become a fruit inside of the Creator, etc. And afterwards, all the rest of the degrees or stages of growth outside of the Creator, so to speak, it's only called that way. Actually, all this time, it's that these egoistic desires awaken in you more and more on the levels of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you adhere all of them to the Creator. And that's called the degrees of your growth, etc., maturity. Simeon, so on all these levels, there's no one else besides Him, the good that does good. Everything is more and more complicated to perform, but you have to. Simeon, yeah. Dr. Leitman, you have to do it. Simeon, and then it says, for if you turn away and cling to the remnant of these nations that remain with you, and intermarry with them and mingle with them, and they with you, know of a certainty that the Lord your God will not drive these nations out from before you anymore, and they will be a snare and an obstacle to you, and a goad in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from this good land which the Lord your God has given you. Sounds very harsh, Dr. Laban. No, simply reward and punishment, and the reward is both a reward and also a correction, meaning everything is in the same direction. It's true and correct. Don't think that there's any nearing and distancing here, but it all brings a person closer to equivalence of form with the Creator. Simeon, and where it says that you can't intermarry with them, mix with them, Dr. Leitman, it means that on different stages of the development of the ego, there are such desires in it that in the meantime you can't work with in order to bestow. And afterwards it will be possible to, because eventually everything comes to correction. Simeon, we as if cut them off ourselves, Simeon, and that will come to them and they'll come to us. Dr. Laitman, meaning there can't be any combinations between the egoistic desires for their correction and the altruistic desires. Simeon, and how would you explain? What does it mean that then they will be snare and an obstacle to you, and a goad in your eyes, and thorns in your eye, and goads in your sides and thorns in your eyes, Dr. Laitman? It means that if we will work with these desires before their complete correction, preliminary correction, then we will find ourselves in their trap. Simeon, so your body will suffer and your vision will suffer. This is what it says here, Simeon. Yes, meaning that I will not see the way in which I'm erring, and I will work with these desires in a way that actually I will not be able to near the Creator. Simeon, sheer pain, Dr. Leitman, it's simply grading on different levels of how can we work with newer and more egoistic desires, how to correct them, an intention to bestow. I'll ask. Now, we're here on the land of Israel, and there's a nation living next to us. What should be the relations between us and them, between the Arab population and the Jewish population here in Israel? Dr. Laitman, you should mind your own business. Dr. Laitman, Jews meaning Dr. Laitman, yeah, which is to correct yourself and not to touch anything else or anyone else until we, by our inner corrections, will make it so that the forces of nature will relieve us of everyone, release us of everyone. And everyone in the world will understand that the Creator is one for all, and that precisely in that way should you reveal Him in adhesion between all of us and for us to adhere to Him. Simeon, so we can stop with all the clashes, all the nonsense, only if we work between ourselves, Dr. Laitman. Absolutely. And it can happen just so, it has to be balanced, both spiritually and corporeally. Simeon, so we're defending ourselves on the one hand and protecting ourselves on the other. And it says, and is it possible to say, well, okay, I already asked about it. And Joshua said again that he's moving away, but they should keep all that the Creator said in order for them to serve Him, otherwise you will perish from this land that the Creator has given you. Meaning all the time there are threats, all the time. Dr. Laitman, it's not threats, these are the conditions. It's a formula that if you'll do this, you'll come to that state, and if if you don't do that, then you come to the very opposite. You can't write only half. Simeon, but there's always this, Dr. Leitman, it's either yes or no, and that's why I have to work in this direction. Simeon, it comes from the very start, from the Exodus, Dr. Leitman. Of course, it's the law of nature, and this is how it works. If you keep things, this is what you'll get. If you don't, this is what you'll get. And that's how it is on every level, all the time. One opposite the other. Simeon, even in your explanations, I see that there's the element of suffering that one way or another, if we don't do that, there will be increased suffering, Dr. Leitman. And you have to talk about it and explain it. Simeon, that will come to catastrophes, wars, Dr. Leitman. We can do it on the spiritual level, and then we won't feel it on the corporeal one. Simeon, so it's necessary to frighten a person, Dr. Leitman. Not to frighten, but simply to explain to him. Because he's no longer a child, he's a grown-up. You have to show him the correct picture of society. Dr. Leitman, and Simeon, and a person can advance only if he's pushed from behind and pulled from the front. Dr. Leitman, at the same time, with both forces. Meaning a stimuli from behind. Dr. Leitman, yeah? Simeon, I see that the entire movement's built that way here too, Dr. Leitman. It's all very simple. The entire problem is only the realization. We'll advance, and let's hope that we will realize it. We have time. Well, this is the time. It's given to us to do. And the wisdom itself is becoming revealed by us and in us. And further on, whoever wants to, he will correctly realize it, and everything's going to be fine. Simeon, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Simeon, thank you very much. We will not begin our next chapter because it's the final chapter that describes Dr. Leitman. Yeah. It repeats everything. Why? Because on every degree you have to start as if anew, but on a new level. Simeon and Moses, he repeated it all before entering the land of Israel. And Joshua, he does the same, Dr. Leitman. The main thing is that you all the time tie the beginning with the end and the end with the beginning on all degrees. Simeon, not to look back. Dr. Leitman, it doesn't mean that you look back. It means that you take the entire degree that you went through, and with all of its degrees and everything, and the next stage that you go through, it as if also begins from zero. And the more you go through it, the more you reveal that starting zero. Simeon, and you have to reveal it? Dr. Leitman, of course. It's like an embryo in a new state. Simeon, so I'm all the time an embryo. Dr. Leitman, yes. Simeon, that's really, on every degree I'm an embryo. Dr. Leitman, otherwise you won't be able to adapt yourself to it, to digest it. Actually, it's a wondrous system. Whoever sees it, see what a wondrous creation it truly is. Good luck.